Hello, dear mates. How are you doing today? I hope you are fine. I hope you are happy. This is me, Fayaz, and welcome. So, guys, let's start. At this point, we will have to go back to the beginning, the very beginning, for the truth is, we started somewhere in the middle. If you are going to learn to read thoughts, I think we should spend a little time discussing what thoughts really are. But don't worry, this isn't a theoretical or strictly academic matter. It's just like everything else in this book, something you will definitely be able to use in practice. When we think, we generally initiate one of two different processes. Either we remember, that is, we repeat thoughts we have had before, or we construct new thoughts that we haven't had before. Either way, our sensory impressions play an important part in our thinking. Our senses of hearing, vision, feeling, taste, smell, and balance are not only important for navigating our environment, but are also used when we think about things that are not related to the direct sensory input we receive. We use our memories of different sensory impressions and experiences to think. If you reflect on a memory like a vacation we enjoyed, we do it by visualizing what it looked like, imagining the sounds we heard there, perhaps even the smells, and so on. When we remember, we react to sensory impressions we have had previously. However, sensory impressions are also important for constructing new thoughts. The following text is inspired by a classic hypnotic induction, in which the technique of getting the subject to internalize his or her thought processes is used. Read the text and try to immerse yourself in it as much as you can. And don't worry, you won't get hypnotized. Imagine walking on a beach. You are barefoot and you can feel the sand yield to your feet as you walk. It's evening time, so the sand is nice and cool between your toes. The sun is low in the sky and you have to squint when you face it. The only sound you can hear is that of the waves rolling and in and out, and a occasional seagull shrieking as it swoops over the water. You stop for a moment and take a deep breath. You can smell the sweat in the air. You see a shell in the sand and pick it up. You hold the shell in your hand, touching its quartz and white surface with your thumb. You put the shell in your pocket and start walking again. Now you begin to hear voices, murmur, and laughter, and in the light ahead you can see the silhouettes of people sitting in an outdoor restaurant. You start to smell the scent of the food and realize how hungry you are. Your mouth begins to water, and you pick up your pace as the scents and noises grow stronger. If you were truly immersed in that story, you could practically hear the waves beating, feel the sand between your toes, and smell the seaweed. Your mouth may even have watered at the end. All this despite the fact that you may never have had an experience exactly like the one I described. If you couldn't remember the experience, it had to be constructed. to understand this story. You made a jigsaw puzzle from pieces of other similar memories you have had as seashell, so you know what that feels like. You know the smell of seaweed, but perhaps you have never walked on a beach at sunset and have no such memory available to use. So you created it from images you have seen, other people's stories, movie scenes, and other impressions that help you create the experience. In a way, you created a new experience in your mind, which became just as real as if you had actually experienced it. We are always using your sensory impressions in this way when we think. Sometimes we do it in our minds internally, as you did when you wandered through that story just now. On other occasions, we use our sensory impressions externally, as we do when we perceive the world around us. We are continuously switching between using our senses internally in our minds and externally when we experience our surroundings. The more we concentrate on what somebody is saying to us, or the contents of a text we are reading, the more internal we become. For instance, you have no idea right now how your left big toe feels. That is, until you were just reminded of it and automatically zoomed out. Externally, to make sure big toe, I remember I have one of these. Our brain doesn't distinguish very well between internal and external use of our senses, and more or less the same areas of the brain are activated in both cases. Thank you very much.